Thanks so much, Doug. We're thrilled about this call, thrilled about the news that broke this week. We've been working on it for quite a bit of time. Wanted to walk you through some of the background of why we came to the deal, what the deal means for partners, which is most important. And so Richard and I are actually going to go walk through a lot of the details, but I'm going to hand off Patrick really to kick us off. And I think you're on mute, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that awesome reminder of the dreaded mute button. You guys, so glad to be with you today. Happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us on our very special Tuesday call today. Not every Tuesday call is earth-shattering, ground-shaking, every metaphor you think of to denote something that really large has happened, not only to Telarus and CarrierSales, but also to this industry in general. We are very excited that yesterday we were finally able to publicly announce that CarrierSales is joining forces with Telarus. Of course, when anything large happens, that creates questions. It makes some people excited, some people sad, some people concerned, some people elated. We're going to go through today and talk a little bit about some of the details so that you as one of our joint partners can understand what it is that we did, number one, number two, why we did it, and number three, most importantly, how this is going to affect your business. Because again, CarrierSales and Telarus didn't get where we are today without having our partners' success in mind really at all times. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what this deal is. This deal is not a hostile takeover. This deal is a coming together really of two companies. Both of these companies exist today. Both of these companies will exist tomorrow. Really what you can understand is that there's two companies coming together under one new brand, but the companies are both there. In fact, Richard Murray, who you guys will hear from here in a second, is now a partner in Telarus. He is a stockholder of the company. Richard Murray did not take any money off of the table. He is now a third partner with Adam and I. So together, the three of us will now be the board of directors of Telarus. He is also the new Chief Operations Officer or Chief Operating Officer, the COO. So he will be in charge of over half of the company's staff will report up through Richard. That includes everything in operations. That includes our regional support model that has been so awesome, how our partners can literally contact the same person here at Telarus every single time. He will be in charge of the account management department, something that is near and dear to all of our hearts for those of us who are using Telarus and CarrierSales to communicate with our end users to help them with moves, ads, changes, renewals, everything else. They will also be in charge of the provisioning department, supplier management, marketing, a lot of the things that make our companies great and that make your experience frictionless with us is going to be under the purview of Richard Murray. Of course, Adam Edwards, who you just heard from, is still the CEO of the company. He is still running everything that he ran before, primarily sales. Scott Forbush, our brand new SVP of Sales, reports to Adam, and together they roll and work with our field sales team. We're going to talk a little about the field sales teams and how the different departments that we're setting up that we're calling areas of expertise, these areas of expertise that will support you and more than what we're doing now. So we're very excited. And, of course, I'm still the co-founder. I put together slides. I write blogs. I speak at conferences. I go drive around racetracks with you like we did at Daytona a couple of weeks ago at the Ticks. Like Doug said, I will see all of you guys at our events in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh coming up in the month of November. So very excited for that. So a lot has changed with the company. You will be seeing a rebrand here shortly that reflects both of our companies under one brand. That's coming later. But today we're going to talk a little bit about how the companies actually come together from a financial perspective. So Adam, if you could take us through what our company now looks like from a financial and sales perspective, that would be great.
Absolutely. You know, you've got two great teams coming together. If you look at the numbers, both in very strong positions financially and from a sales perspective and growth perspective, I might add. If you look at them here in terms of sales, employees, and revenue, you can see why Richard is becoming a third partner because the companies look, like they divide up that way. What's interesting when you look beneath the numbers, though, is the complementary complementary strengths there. So while you see an aggregation of volume of, hey, it's bigger, isn't that great, that is important for a consolidating industry, for providers that want to see more volume, for an expanded portfolio where you've got to have more product lines of security and IoT and more cloud capability. You've got to have more sales volume to be able to do that, more revenue to support that. But it wasn't just size that caused us to want to bring these companies together. They're very healthy on their own. What we thought we could do by coming together, bringing these teams together, is create more value for partners. So if you look at the employee count, you see a solid team on CarrierSales, and we'll talk about the details of that team's expertise and how partners benefit from that, and jointly all partners will benefit. But as you look at the relative strengths of both companies, really complementary. What I focus on most when we got into the discussions about this was not about what have we done in the history, what's our joint revenue together. That's really a look at the past. Of course, we're always going to protect a partner's commissions, but my question was going forward, how are we looking? It's that middle number, that sales number. How much are we selling each month? How much are partners collectively producing? That's what was important to me as we looked at these numbers. And you see both companies accelerating. Both companies are moving forward and gathering strength because partners recognize the strengths of both companies. You see operational excellence on the carrier side, a focus on some great areas we'll talk about in detail on the Telarus side as well. So two companies headed in the same direction, combined, bigger, and I believe better. Now, we can go to the next slide. We've got actually some details about where the companies stand out. On suppliers, where we stand out, Telarus has been known for being Comcast Spectrum, really having a cable machine. Automation has been a focus of Telarus for a long period of time, and that plays really well in the cable world. But also on the network side, we've historically been very strong, a top partner with ACC, Level 3 being an elite partner, AirSpring, Nitel have been top partners there for multiple years in a row. And so those are strengths that I think we bring to the table for CarrierSales partners. And I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that because we know in this market that strength matters. When it comes to getting resources from our providers, being at the top matters. And that's, Telarus has a good track record for that. But what you see from CarrierSales, I think, is a great addition to, filling the gaps that Telarus has had. And Richard, if you wouldn't mind, tell us about some of the strengths that we see right here from the CarrierSales portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for having me. From a CarrierSales standpoint, we've really spent the last decade trying to build out a local regional operational focus that has allowed us to really stand out in a few areas that you see highlighted here. We're one of the deepest CenturyLink back offices in the industry, and because of that, we were able to achieve diamond level status with CenturyLink. Really excited to be able to bring that to bear to the greater scope of Telarus partners because they'll now have access to the higher level of support that not only that we bring, but also that CenturyLink provides to us because of our diamond level status. In addition to that, we've carved out a niche as the nation's leader around contact center business, and you see that highlighted with both InContact and Five9, as we are their number one partners and have been for a couple of years in a row. We've been consistent in our performance with AT&T over the years as one of their recognized partners as a gold partner over also the last decade. And then finally, Cox. Cox launched a new channel program at the beginning of this year and selected only 2 masters to be able to run that program, and we're one of them and have had incredible success with them and are excited to be able to bring that to bear to the Telarus partners.
One thing I found interesting on the early slides for training, we had 5 nines, really an intro call for a new provider for Telarus. And then you look at this slide of what CarrierSales currently offers, an elite partner with 5 nines, already that expertise. So what I think that, shows is the coming together of areas of expertise where Telarus is trying to grow and build a practice around contact center. CarrierSales has that. Partners are going to be able to immediately tap into not just a solid contract and great relationships with the provider, but the expertise in-house, the people in-house that can walk them through building a contact center practice for themselves. So I think that's a big win for partners. As we go to the next slide, what partners have really asked is, okay, but what do I get? What do I not have today that I can get? And from the Telarus side, quite a bit. Partners who have been with Telarus, especially our East Coast partners who are not familiar with CarrierSales and their offering, are going to get quite a bit. Of course, we talked about CenturyLink being Diamond status. That matters. Having Cox in some of the smaller markets, Bullseye, Verizon Platinum, that matters in the East. As our XO base rolls in to Verizon, to be able to be with CarrierSales expert team on Verizon and have Platinum status matters. Of course, AT&T we talked about, but Fuse, rounding out the UC portfolio and having Fuse, NetFortress, Call Tower. These are providers that we felt, look, if we're not going to provide significant volume and being a top player with a UC provider, let's hold off until we can. Let's hold off until we've got that volume. But now coming together with CarrierSales, we've got that. So it's a bigger offering for Telarus partners to take advantage of. In addition, you see these providers of mobility, an entire practice of mobility. So we've got Sprint, both wireline and wireless. Also, we've got PGI for conferencing, T-Mobile, and the wireless providers, of course, for Verizon Wireless and AT&T Wireless. So great practice there, great advantage for Telarus partners out of this.
And on our side, we were really excited to be able to add some direct relationships that maybe we've been sourcing through, other masters or, through our relationships within the alliance. But the ability to be direct with Comcast and add our volume, which is significant to the Telarus numbers, I think will really help the overall production. Obviously, with Spectrum kind of rounding out with Cox, it builds a complete cable practice for Telarus partners and allows both sides of the equation to be able to access every cable provider that they could really need. Super excited for our partners to be able to have access to VX Suite and the ability to monitor circuits. And then, without going through each of the providers one by one, it's the portfolio around some international providers like China Telecom and Unitas that I'm excited to be able to open up and have my partners have access to that.
As we look at the relative strength, that's one thing that as we got together and talked about this, both teams knew that, hey, we've got to get bigger to provide a complete offering to our partners and address the rapid growth this partner model has. We've really got to make sure we've got a complete offering. If you look at the complementary natures of the companies, Richard mentioned before, you talked about the focus on operational excellence, being in the region and focusing on operational excellence. And what a great compliment. I mean, if you look on the next slide, our tools, Telarus has had a different focus where it's been more, hey, what kind of software can we provide? And how can we get out to partners and be local to them? So if you look at our regional model, we've focused on putting a lot of people in the field, and that will continue. We feel like being close to the partner and understanding what they're working on and how we can help is critical. And the only way to do that effectively is to be close to them. Which I think complements very well the CarrierSales approach, which is, okay, great, let's broadcast that out to everyone and be close to them, but let's also bulk up our operational excellence in the tenure of our team, which Carrier has done. If you look at all the tools that we have built or acquired, starting with GeoQuote way back when, and the maps and the circuit monitoring, VX and then support line. For any of you who have been to an innovation conference recently, the new tools that continue to be developed, continue to move on, those are going to continue. And as a combined organization, I think we continue to build those faster. That doesn't go away. It just complements, I think, what the CarrierSales offering and expertise area has been. And Richard, if you'd outline a couple of those, I think people see the complementary nature of that.
Yeah, I think we've touched on a little bit, but one of the things that stands out to me is we talk here is, we've focused on really building internally and making the giving our partners access to just great people that have a lot of experience in their fields and have relied upon them, and we've had less field sales capabilities out there. So obviously our partners are going to be able to take advantage of the field sales, but from a Telarus partner standpoint, I think that they will see an immediate impact upon the back office people and strength that we're able to bring to bear, because that's been our focus, is around that operational side. From a contact center standpoint, I think a lot of people have heard the noise. They're seeing what's going on around there. They know they should be playing there because it's the best margins in the industry. It's they're bigger sales, but they don't know how to break into that. And so being able to access our team of experts, former VP of channels in contact on our team to be able to help you break into that, understand how to sell it, help hold your hand through the first several deals is something that will be an immediate impact to the partners. Included in that is our entire back office that can handle mobility sales, folks that have been doing it for a long time, former channel managers of wireless carriers, employees that know the back office systems and can take a mobility quote and run with it. On a engineering standpoint, something that maybe Telarus doesn't already have with their sales engineers is one of our engineers recently passed his Amazon Cloud certifications, and so to be able to layer that in and give access to partners to that. And then certainly with unified communications, a lot of times that conversation goes hand in hand with Cloud Contact Center. But unified communications is something that we've been leading out on, have created several good relationships, some of them that are duplicative to what Telarus already has, but I think that joint capability, our back office strengths, and be able to support that business will be just incredible for partners moving on. Did we lose Adam?
Oh, I'm talking on mute again. But what I was talking to myself about just a moment ago is the complementary nature of the two teams. You know, as we looked across the industry, it turned out we just had to look down the street for a complementary nature. And you know, it's fun having conversations with Richard. One of his comments was, you know, if we weren't so busy competing, we could actually really help each other out. And of course, he was right. You know, he saw the complementary nature of the organizations a long time ago. And as we talked more and more about the possibilities, you know, it's interesting when you've got organizations that are very entrepreneurial and very focused on charging ahead and winning for their partners. You know, to take a step back and look around for how you could team and join with others, you know, with competitors, you know, take some time. But, you know, Richard saw that right off. Patrick saw that right off. Of, boy, look at the complementary nature. And it turned out when we looked across the country for what are the best complements, it turned out it was right down the street. And I think you can see from these last, you know, slides visually the complementary nature of the organizations. And that's what we're most excited about, I think, is really the coming together of two teams that, while have taken different approaches to market, you know, partners win using both of those. And so to put them under one roof, I think makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for partners because partners don't just choose a single master necessarily. While they may put the bulk of their business there, they're looking in each, as they choose each customer and each provider, where am I served best? Where is my customer served best? Where do I get the best value? And to the extent we can answer that, you know, partners opt to work with us. And I think together we have a better answer. So there, a look at the teams, probably not representative of CarrierSales. For those of you who don't know, on the previous slide, 35 members of the CarrierSales team, so not representative there. I think they've actually got employees in multiple locations across the country. And so we didn't get a picture of them together, but you'll see as the teams come together, I believe about 120, 130 employees that will continue to grow. We're excited about what these teams bring together and looking forward to serving you as a partner and what we can do more for you. That's really been the focus of our conversation since we began talking. Richard's first concern to me was, hey, we've approached the market being very personal with partners. And what I'm most concerned about protecting is how to protect that value that we've given them. How do we, while getting big, still give that personal touch and not lose that? And that was a big concern. Fortunately, what that told me is, hey, we're in alignment. We're focused on the right thing. And while we've had different answers in the past of how to do that, when you're focused on the same goal, it makes alignment a lot easier. You can get to answers a lot faster when you're both focused on the same thing, which is partner success. And that's what you can see in Richard's track record. That's what you can see in ours, and that's what makes this such an easy coming together. So we're going to open it up now and have some Q&A. We've got a few prepped by Doug from, I think, some questions we've already had from partners who have called in or spoken with us. And we'll open it up to everyone on the line and see how many questions we can get through.
Thanks, Adam, Patrick, and Richard. Wow, the chat line is just blowing up today with questions coming in from partners, most of them asking all sorts of detailed questions, but almost all of them expressing a lot of excitement about this event. Couldn't be more exciting today. We have Adam Edwards, co-founder Patrick Oborn, CarrierSales President and CEO Richard Murray, who's now the Telarus Chief Operations Officer, online to take your questions about the new combined company formed by Telarus and CarrierSales. Time for Q&A from all of you, and we've just got questions all over the board here. Let's go back to the beginning for just a second and talk a little bit about the motivation for all of this. We've seen a tremendous amount of M&A activity across the supplier portion of the channel, and now we're starting to see more of it across the master agencies as well. So, Adam, you've done a great job today of talking a little bit about how this came about. Let's just reiterate one more time why this came about and why the focus on this is about Telarus partners.
Sure. It's really about both CarrierSales and Telarus partners. When we think about the industry going forward, it's no secret that it's consolidating. What that means is you've got, bigger demands placed on a master agent. That's why, partners have gone to master agents because bigger demands were placed on them. Contract requirements, requiring volume continue to go up. And that's why one of the reasons partners have elected to go with masters is, hey, I've got to make sure my revenue is safe. Well, masters are in the same situation with bigger providers become bigger commitments, and we've got to meet those commitments. In addition to that, you see this widening of the portfolio. This model wins. Anybody who is working in this model right now has a bright future because these products, lend themselves to being distributed through a broker, through a trusted advisor. The days of rolling trucks and installing devices are going away. It's really about the trusted advisor going in and maintaining a relationship and advising on products. And so as that model proliferates, you've got to have the scale as a master agent to meet that. And what that means is if you're going to have an expanded portfolio, you've got to have the volume. So that's what we saw going on in the industry. That's what Richard saw. Richard actually saw this long ago and started down the acquisition trail long before we did. And that's what we both see. And so I think in answer to your question, yes, I think we'll see more of this. I think what partners need to ask themselves when this comes together is this good for me? Are these partner-centric organizations that are going to help me out, and is this good for me? And I think if you look at the track records of both of these companies, the answer is a resounding yes. These are partner-focused companies that focus on the success of their partners and are going to continue to do that. And as a combined organization, I think they'll do more and they'll do it faster.
Telarus has been focused for a long time on cloud solutions, focusing on helping our customers get into contact centers. Our Triple Crown process has focused on that, and we've designed and built a lot of resources to that. As CarrierSales comes in, you can clearly see their focus on cloud, on contact center, on mobility, and many of the suppliers that they bring to this new combined company reflect that. Richard, talk just a little bit about CarrierSales' focus on that and how Telarus and CarrierSales partners will benefit from this combined company as we move farther into those categories.
Yeah, I don't want to be too duplicative on what we've highlighted already, but I mentioned our sales engineering team that has done a lot of work in cloud, and really could talk for a long time around our efforts in the cloud contact center space and the expertise that we have there. I'd gone pretty quick on it, but when you look at cloud contact center opportunities, when you're selling a hosted voice deal, you're selling that at, it could be $18 a seat. And it takes a lot of seats to make much money at it. When you look at contact center, those deals range anywhere from 75 to 150 a seat. And so just immediately those deals get larger. And we've had a lot of agents that sold a customer a $10,000 MPLS deal and then maybe didn't ask the contact center question. And so then either another partner or a VAR walked in. This is a real-world example where one of our partners closed the MPLS, didn't ask the contact center question, and 2 months later a different partner walked in, a $60,000 contact center opportunity with the same signer. And that signer would have worked with that partner, but they didn't ask the question. And so I think what we can do is help partners ask the right questions, and then once they have identified an opportunity, we can help them run with those opportunities and make sure that they succeed.
Moving into the future, these will be tremendously important categories of sales. And yet, Patrick, let me bring you back in here for a second. Each of our three featured sales today were fiber Ethernet sales. Really more traditional types of sales. We're still doing tremendous business in that. Talk just a little bit about how the increased presence we will have with CenturyLink, AT&T, Verizon, the ILECs, if you will, and the enhanced presence we'll have with them will benefit all of our partners.
I think we got a mute button.
Still on mute. There you go. Adam, you're on. We can throw that to you. Let's talk about the ILECs for a second, because this greatly enhances our position with CenturyLink and now with AT&T and Verizon as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, if you looked on the, as you mentioned, the awards today, those are traditional sales. Those are not going away. I mean, network is a big part of what we do, a big part of what every partner does. And I think if you're talking about a holistic solution, you're not just talking about a cloud application. You're talking about the infrastructure as well, and that's going to continue on. And so, in addition to the traditional providers that Telarus has sold, we are seeing ILEC expertise, and we've avoided that in the past. Candidly, we used ACC rather than AT&T because of the complexity. You have got to have a team that understands that product that can guide you through it, and that's what CarrierSales is invested in. Patrick talks a lot about, you can tell a lot about someone by the way they spend their money. CarrierSales did not just fall into these areas of expertise. They deliberately focused on them for years and years and years. And because of that, they bring that expertise that, both sets of partners jointly benefit from. And so, in that traditional space of wireline and network, we're going to have a complete portfolio. It's a big win for partners.
Hey, Adam, I just have been watching the chat window, and there's just want to thank everyone for being on there. One of the overwhelming themes of most of these chats, this for both Adam and Richard, is timing. They're like, okay, a lot of great carriers, can I sell them today? A lot of great tools, can I get access to the Telarus back office like tomorrow? Just talk to us a little bit about what our plans are for integrating these two companies and rolling these carriers and tools out to partners, because I think there's a lot of excitement, and I just want to make sure that we set proper expectations so that we don't underperform in some people's minds.
Yeah, good point. I read through some of those as well. I think Brad Burkemper asking about when do commissions come together and they become one check for some partners who have relationships with both master agencies. Others asking, I saw a question about territories. Are territories going to change and realignments? Let me just state, I think an answer to several of these questions, or maybe not an answer, but a principle that we are living by internally is rule number one, don't jack with partners. That's what we found over and over as providers come together. Partners don't spook on the news. On the news of M&A, it's like, okay, let's wait and see. Where partners get upset is when you start messing with things that already work. And so that's what we're trying to do internally. And the discussion internally is, okay, let's make things available as quickly as possible, like additional contracts, additional services. We've had requests from carrier sales partners, can I get monitoring of my circuits immediately? From Telarus partners, can I get access to costs? We've got all these questions coming up, and we are very inclined to say yes. We're moving as fast as we can to say yes, 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 yes. At the same time, we're trying to be very careful to not mess things up at work. In terms of territory relationship and regions, we're saying no, we don't want to mess with relationships. If partners have a good relationship with a carrier sales person, a support person, we don't want to mess with that. If partners have a good relationship with someone at Telarus, we don't want to mess with that. Also, with the commissions coming together, Brad, I would answer to your question. When are we bringing the two commissions into one report? I don't know. Because we're not going to do that until we're absolutely sure that we don't provide a very smooth transition. The partners don't have everything they need and all the details. So in some places, we're going to try to move very rapidly of giving you access to things. In some places, we're going to be very careful and very slow because, again, rule number one, don't jack with the partner's experience. We're focused on making the experience better, and we're going to be very careful to not mess up existing relationships, existing methods of doing business. Carrier sales is successful for a reason. Partners elected to do business with carrier sales for a reason. We don't want to mess with those, and we want to enhance those. Same thing on the Telarus side. Telarus partners have become used to being able to access a lot of tools, having transparency, having relationships with people who are physically proximate to them. We don't want to mess with that. And those are the principles we're running by. So we don't have answers for everything today. We're trying to move as quickly as we can without messing things up. The litmus test for if this is a good integration is if at the end of it you have a better experience.
Quick question, Adam, that I know a lot of partners have. First off, if they've got a deal in flight now with one or the two of us, what should they do? And how is President's Club going to be affected by any of this, if at all?
I'll go with President's Club first. So we're finishing out the year as separate companies. So if you're on track to make President's Club with Carrier Sales, good for you. You're going to go, and I'm going to see you there. I'm excited about that. If you're on track to make President's Club for Telarus, then you're going to get there, and we're going to honor that, and Richard's going to see you there. And we're excited about celebrating both of those. So definitely not taking away, again, an example of we don't want to mess with good things that are happening. The other question you had about if I've got a deal in flight, let's be very careful about that. If someone out there has put work into it, if you've worked with another master that has put work into it, brought an engineer into it, please don't change tracks. I know that sounds like maybe a different answer than you would expect, but if someone has worked with you on a deal, honor that deal. Honor their work and put that where it's going. On future deals, if they're mid-flight and you haven't consulted anybody, then yes, we'd love for you to put that through Carrier Sales or through Telarus. If you have been the only one who worked on it and you haven't relied on a master agent's work, or you haven't relied on someone's work within a carrier who is aligned and their comp is aligned by that deal going through a certain master. So I guess what I'm saying is honor the people that have gone to market with you, have gone to bat for you. But yes, on all future deals or all deals where you have done it solo, yes, we'd love you to bring those home.
Richard, this is Doug. Let me bring you back into this for just a second. We've talked a lot about carriers. We've talked a lot about commissions. We've talked a lot about culture today and different things that are being offered. You have been through a couple of acquisitions in the past as Carrier Sales has brought different companies on board. And now you're joining with Telarus in this new combined company. I think there are a lot of partners out there, both on the Telarus and Carrier Sales side, as well as some of the employees, that may be curious about your personal motivations for wanting to do this. Talk just a little bit, if you would, about how this affects you personally and why you feel that this is a great opportunity for Carrier Sales and for you personally.
Great. Happy to. So, I mean, some of them have already been talked about. Adam talked a little bit about industry scale being required with industry consolidation occurring at the provider level and some of the reasons around that. So I would echo a lot of those motivations. But, for me, look, it's all about the partners, and it always has been. My entire business has been around the relationships that I've been able to build with partners. And So, as we look at bringing the companies together, for me, it has to be about the partners, and not just for today, but for the next decade. And so when you look at what we do well together, look, Adam kind of stole a little bit of the phrase, but even though we've competed and 5 years ago, we weren't really friendly competitors. Over the last couple of years, it's become more friendly as we found our own individual niches. And I found myself over the last couple of years telling providers that, hey, look, if we weren't competitors, we'd probably be friends. And so when I was able to sit in a room with Adam and Patrick and have conversations and see how well we're aligned, see how well we do when we get together and have strategic conversations, it was really invigorating to have that kind of opportunity to bounce things off these great minds and be able to drive that and help partners. So, then when you look at the other, real practical items, our portfolios are incredibly complementary. Being able to bring my expertise in our back office employees and our sales support team and layer those into Telarus's team, and we've got a lot of experience on our team. If you look at just CenturyLink, I've got 12 employees that average on about 30 years of experience. I mean, it's very deep with what we're doing there, and so to able to layer that in with the Telarus tools is just an incredibly exciting opportunity for us, and for partners to, you've got experience, but now we can be more efficient with our experience. So, those are, some of the personal motivations around it is just to continue to be able to drive operational excellence for partners. When you look at my new role as COO in the combined company, it really brings me back to where my home is, where my great comfort level is, and that is around building an operations company. And being able to be focused on that, not wearing, a CEO and a sales hat at the same time, I think is going to be able to drive even more value to the combined companies.
I think many of our partners, they watch what's going on in the industry, and now they see it happening a little bit more with the masters. And they may have business with more than one master. They may have business with both Telarus and with CarrierSales. And they're looking at this and saying, is my business safe? Should I be looking to see if I should enhance the safety of the business that I'm placing in my future commission stream? Adam or Patrick, talk just a little bit about some of those changes that we still expect to see in the industry and what partners should look for when they see M&A activity like this going on. How do they assure that their business is safe?
Well, Adam, I'll talk a little bit to it and then toss it over to you. But for me, the real litmus test is to see when a company makes a deal, what's the motivation behind it, and what happens, like Adam said, follow the money. If a master agent or some place that you're putting your business is doing a deal to take some money off the table for the owners, that kind of tells you right there that there's going to be a change in the guard, because the people who make decisions are the people who hold the stock certificates and people who sit on the board of directors. And when your allies are no longer sitting in those positions, it's kind of a leap of faith that the new administration is going to adhere to the general philosophies that were what attracted you to that company in the first place. We also see in this business that the larger the masters get, the safer your commission becomes. So when you look at diversification, I look now, living here in Salt Lake, should I fly Delta or should I fly United? I try to fly Delta as much as possible. Why don't I try to diversify my flying routes? Why? Because I want to consolidate my miles so I can hit platinum status with Delta. Why? Because that frees up an enormous amount of benefits to my business. I don't necessarily benefit by being a silver partner on Delta and a silver partner on United, but I do benefit when I'm a platinum partner on Delta. Free first class upgrades, everything else. You're going to see with our commission advance program, with interest rates that we charge, how they get better as you put more volume. As our contracts with the ILEX get bigger, not only do you become safer, but again, it opens up more MDF, which means more training opportunities for us and you, which means means more events for you to come, like Partner Summit next year in Florida. It really creates a total synergy. So in some cases, people think, diversification is the key, but in other cases, I think consolidation and areas of focus make you more important, unlock more benefits, and it unlocks benefits for you, and it unlocks benefits for Telarus, which, of course, roll downhill to you from the carrier. So that's kind of my take. Adam, what do you think?
It's a good point about looking at the motivations of the combining organizations. I think it's a luxury right now that we have owners that have a long track record of being passionate about partner growth. I do think professional money is coming into the industry. There are growth equity investors sniffing around, getting very smart about the industry. They will make a play in the master agent space. Expect that. I think what a partner needs to look at as those things come together is this good for me? I think it's just natural. I don't think we can get away from the fact that this industry is maturing, and a master agent is, by nature of the business, designed to scale, and that means size, and that's going to happen through different avenues, M&A, outside investment. I agree with what Patrick said about diversification doesn't necessarily mean safety. If you look at the mature master agents, we haven't seen partners get cut off in years because master agents have learned your reputation is everything. And if word gets out that you're cutting off sub-agents, your value, goes away. And your agents are not going to want to place additional business through you. And the master agents who have done that in the past have washed out. And so I think that anyone with a sense for the future is going to protect commissions at all costs and be an ally to partners rather than do anything to disrupt them. So I can't imagine any major master agent making a move like that, even with money coming in. I'll speak candidly. I just don't think that's going to happen over at Intelisys. People have raised the question about a public company like ScanSource of, hey, should partners be nervous? I don't think so. I don't think ScanSource is dumb enough to cut off commissions from partners when that's how the business was built. It was built based on providing a continuity for partners, providing safety. That would be extremely short-sighted, and I just don't see that happening anywhere. What I think partners should look most for, not just size and stability, because I think that's what gives financial safety, but it's really the motivations. Are they building additional value? Can I sell more because I'm aligned with this master agent? Can I close more deals? Can I find more opportunities? That's where I think partners need to focus as these master agents come together.
One of our partners on the chat line asked earlier in the conversation whether or not this will make the new Telarus company a part of the Channel Alliance. I believe we discussed that internally the other day. Any reaction to that question?
Why don't you take that one, Richard?
Yeah, I can take that. So the Alliance has obviously been notified just like the rest of the world around what is going on. The Alliance is an actual for-profit company of which I'm a member and current vice president and slated to be the next president. So the group has to do an actual official vote, so we haven't held that yet, but we've got the necessary things in place to handle that. So the answer is yes. Telarus will be able to access the Alliance, benefit from those relationships, that camaraderie, and also, as necessary, the contracts are available through that. While I'm going, I was also going to maybe just answer one of the questions that came up online, and it ties into an answer that Adam gave earlier around, look, if you've got something in flight, obviously honor the people that have done the work and keep it there. I think maybe what we didn't cover yet is, okay, what if I want to quote something new that starts today that's on the CarrierSales side if you're a Telarus agent, or the reverse if you're with Carrier? What I would say with all of that is, so it encompasses a lot of the questions that were asked. Okay, I want to quote it, but what am I going to get paid? See your RVP, your partner development manager. That information is being distributed and updated on a daily basis. So the RVPs will have in their hands, if they don't already, the percentages of what we're getting paid and what you'll get paid on AT&T business, for example. And so when you get into, hey, I want to quote a Cox deal, bring it on. We're set up to be able to handle that, track it, give you credit for it on your Telarus President's Club qualification when it closes. We can get you the information on comp. So some of that is see your resources on the Telarus side. Mixed into that was the question around, hey, how does Carrier quote different than Telarus, and do we need to cover that? Look, the basic principle is a lot of what Adam talked about is you don't mess with a good thing. You don't jack around with partners. Some of our partners on the CarrierSales side have just come to rely upon us to do the work. And on the Telarus side, you've got tools that help you do the work. And so I think the principle here is we take the best of both and apply it where necessary, but then if certain partners like to work one way versus the other, then we'll leave those in place and allow that process to take hold. So, I don't know fully if that answers the question around, hey, please explain how Carrier does it differently, but for us, it comes into a box, and that regional alignment that Telarus has is going to be something that we'll adopt overall. So that part of it's not going to change or go away at all. But you will have maybe more resources to help you do in-depth quoting than maybe you've had in the past.
Two related questions that have come up on the chat line during the course of today's conversation. Regarding the tools and resources that Telarus has traditionally provided, with additional carriers now coming on board that partners can take advantage of, does Telarus plan to continue building the tools and resources it has in the past and extend those existing tools to the new carriers coming on board? And also, what about the free circuit monitoring and the trouble resolution that Telarus has provided as a result of the VX Suite acquisition last year? Do we plan to continue those and extend those to these additional carriers as well?
Well, having a tools question is definitely something near and dear to my heart. Just let me tell you that all of the providers on the CarrierSales side will be added to our tools, to GeoQuote, to the fiber routes, to the Telarus app, so that you can find your new channel managers just on your phone, just like you do now. That's going to take some time. Our supplier management department, which reports up through Richard Murray, will be working in earnest as part of the integration process so that we can get that information in your hands. I think the phase before all of that integration happens on our tools will basically be a spreadsheet where we can actually send you a spreadsheet of these are the tools we have through Telarus, or the carriers we have through Telarus, these are the carriers we have through CarrierSales, until they do become one in the system. So we'll have an intermediate, almost a spreadsheet-driven system for the next month or so, but expect to see all of those carriers rolling up through the GeoQuote system and the tool system. And what was the other question, Doug?
The VX Suite, circuit monitoring and trouble ticket resolution.
VX Suite. VX Suite was built to monitor circuits. The good news is we own VX Suite. What does that mean? It means as we add more circuits to the mix of monitoring, it doesn't necessarily cost us any more money, again, because we own the company. And we've made that resource available for free to drive our core business, which is the network. So if you have a network now that you would like monitored, again, I would say reach out to your Telarus Partner Support Manager or your CarrierSales Partner Support Manager. There is some paperwork that you need to fill out. Fill that out, send it in, and we'll have our engineers at VX Suite go ahead and start monitoring those for you and give you some basic training. So we fully intend to make both the GeoQuote, the Telarus app, the fiber tools, and the VX Suite tools available to all partners as soon as we physically can.
Well, and just to highlight real quick, we have a real live VX Suite opportunity with a partner that has used both of us. Asked yesterday, hey, can I have my circuits monitored? And the answer has already been given that yeah, we're going to make that work. So it's in flight.
I will go ahead. One other question that hasn't come up, and we will not let it go without an answer. Hard-hitting journalism right here on the Telarus Tuesday call. Adam, Patrick, Richard, I'm going to corner you on this one. What about the socks? What about the Telarus socks?
All I can say is when we rebrand, you're going to have a whole new flavor of Telarus socks. So if you've got Telarus socks now, keep them. They're going to be worth something someday. If you've got CarrierSales socks, keep those. They're going to be worth something someday. But expect to see a new Telarus new branding, new tools. I mean, we're going to keep innovating. We didn't get here by sitting on our laurels and commenting on the industry as the players played on the field. We are the players on the field. We look forward to scoring more points on your behalf and expect to see more cool stuff. And I suspect that in that cool stuff package will include Telarus socks, because socks matter. You guys know that.
Great information. A lot of answers today. A lot of questions today. We want to thank all of our partners for participating. We've had a lot of questions that we can't get to. We will be putting out information that contains answers to these and many of the other questions that were asked today. We're coming up on the top of the hour. I want to give Adam, Patrick, and Richard one last word here before we wrap it up for today. What should partners take away from this?
Well, I'll go first. Oh, sorry, Adam.
No, you're on it.
I'll keep going. Yeah. So, look, I hope partners take away from it our mutual excitement to be able to drive business and drive value for them. As we talked about coming together, and Adam highlighted this, it was important to me that we don't just do it for a play to be bigger. And in one of the LinkedIn threads on our announcement yesterday's announcement, one of the partners mentioned it's nice to see a merger acquisition that isn't just about getting bigger. It's about adding actual value and complementary skill sets. And that, to me, right there, that won the day of what the message should be and what partners should look forward to, is we're coming together because we do things differently. We're good at different things, and we're going to bring those things together. As I've gotten a lot of messages and received a lot of different input through, the social media posts, the thing I'm most excited to see is how excited partners are. And how excited providers are. Providers are super excited to have what we each bring to the table put together. And, yes, they're also excited they don't have to change their socks in the parking lot. But that's what I would hope they take out of it.
That's true. I've looked out my window and I can see them changing, and we'll be able to reduce their workload just a little bit. I would echo what Richard said. I think that quote from the partner is dead on. It is not just about size. It's about complementary skill sets and capabilities that we can offer to partners. At the end of the day, we win if the partner wins. If the partner perceives that we're doing a better job and their future is better than with us, then we win. That's been our goal from the start, and that's why we're so well aligned, is because Richard's had that same output. So we don't know all the answers today. We're going to come together and we're going to figure it out. But what we do know is we have the same focus. The similar culture of partner comes first, and how can we help? And if we've got the answer in mind, then we can figure out the details.
And last but not least, I'll just say I'm thrilled to have a different perspective inside the Telarus boardroom. I'm thrilled to have different sets of experience inside the Telarus support system. I think we have done an amazing job, but just like a student taking a test in class, it's kind of, it's frowned upon, kind of looking on the test of your neighbor, so to speak. Telarus has really been like that. For those of you who know us, Adam and I don't come from telecom. I'm an engineer and a web designer, and Adam is a finance controller, accountant kind of person. And so to have Richard here, who has a number of years of experience with the old Quest and CenturyLink and the telecom providers, really helps give us kind of an operational window into what we really need to be thinking about, and things, quite frankly, that we hadn't thought about. So he helps us cover what I might consider a blind spot that we might have had in the past. And his staff coming together with our staff, I just think it's going to be such a massive compliment. And we're in the big leagues now, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we're taking this business to a new level, to the point where we can not only compete against the other masters head to head with anybody, but to the billion-dollar distributors out there that eventually are going to make a play on our space. We want to make sure that we protect you, that we build a huge Chinese wall, a huge wall around you guys for protection, to make sure that things that happen in the industry that are beyond all of our control do not negatively impact us. And so we're excited to bring these new capabilities to the game. We're excited to bring the new perspectives to the game, but we're also excited to bring this new layer of protection that all of our partners are going to more than enjoy, I think, going forward. This is a residual business. This is a business of trust. It's a business of relationships, and it's a business that requires long-term thinking. And I don't know anyone who has more of a long-term perspective than Richard Murray. So I'd like to welcome you, Richard, to the Telarus family. The partners of CarrierSales, we want to welcome you to the family. We are excited to work with you, and then also to the staff. Just 3 miles down the road in Draper. We are very, very excited to work with you guys and bring you into the family and learn from you, and you learn from us. So this is going to be a great, great time for everybody.
Well said, everyone. My thanks to the Telarus Executive Leadership Team, Adam Edwards, Patrick Oborn, and Richard Murray. Telarus and CarrierSales coming together to help partners win. What a great day for all of our partners. If you have suggestions or feedback or additional questions about the Telarus Tuesday call, please send those to marketing@telarus.com. Much more information to come. We will be back next Tuesday with more. Till then, I'm Doug Miller, the voice of Telarus. Have a happy Halloween, everybody, and a great selling week. Talk to you next Tuesday.